Hey guys, we're just down at Seattle Devcon right now, Neo Devcon I should say, and we're here with one of the core developers of the project and someone who's been doing some wicked projects on the Neo blockchain. So this is Jeff. He's one of the core developers for Neo, and he's also the lead developer on Aphelion, which we'll talk about here in just a second. But I want to open up. Who are you? What the heck are you doing at Neo Devcon? And why should we all be paying attention to Neo this year?
Well, I'm actually lead developer of Aphelion, like you had mentioned, and I got into Neo because I was building a project on Neo's blockchain. And so actually, I was actually a developer at Amazon prior to getting into this space. I've been following blockchain for a long time, since basically 2013 even.
Yeah. OG?
Yeah, pretty much. Well, but unfortunately I wasn't an investing OG, but I did invest some early on, but then I kind of sold out in the bear 2015 or 2014.
It seems like the attention you paid has started paying off.
Yeah, but definitely. So what happened was, like at Amazon, I got this offer to, hey, why don't you come leave Amazon, take the salary and build a DEX for cryptocurrencies. And so I helped to build, and by leading the development of Aphelion DEX, did a lot of the back-end work and everything. And the DEX is live today. You can trade any cryptocurrency that's on the Neo blockchain that we've listed so far, which is a good chunk of them and more coming.
And let me just pause here, because a lot of our users are not developers like you and I. So when we say DEX, we're referring to decentralized exchange. So this is a exchange that's not profiting for a particular company or person, and it's decentralized in its model.
Oh, and that's really close to the way it is for Aphelion. Aphelion takes 20% of the fees, and then 80% actually go back to the contributors. So
right.
There is some amount that it could profit from
of course.
it.
Any exchange needs to be developed and maintained and updated.
Has to be able to pay for the cost of running.
Of course.
But it's interesting because with a DEX, like you're saying, there's no custodialship of your funds. So it's non-custodian, which means that you hold your funds the entire time through the trade. And that's really the future of exchange.
Keep your private keys private.
That's right.
Because we know what those exchanges do with them when they get hacked or they die in India, right?
Exactly. And so like while building that exchange, the Aphelion exchange, I was working on top of the Neo blockchain, and I started to see, there's certain things here and there that are not quite, let's say, operationally excellent.
Okay.
And so I started to go and make improvements for operational excellence, and I started to get noticed within the Neo community for that. And as the DEX, also we kind of involved a lot of the community to test the DEX early on. So there were some bugs and things, but we were one of the projects that built a real working product.
Yeah,
and
real proof of work.
Exactly.
And how many people bring a proof of concept to market in this industry right now? 0.01%, and this guy's one of them. So sorry, go on.
Yeah, so and I'm one of the ones that brought it too. Yeah, so we actually have a working product. It's working today, and now the weird thing though is that it has KYC, and it's like, why do you have KYC? You're a DEX. And the weird thing about that is like regulations, like they can't allow U.S. investors right now. In the future, whenever they have like a broker dealer license, maybe they'll be able to open that up to everybody. Yeah. But I don't want to make this all about Aphelion. Let's talk about Neo.
Yeah. So big year for Neo. Neo, of course, recently has been getting some news about some bugs and some problems that were going on. There's been talk about the centralization of the node and a whole bunch of other things. Why don't you talk about the updates, some of the things that have recently changed, and the great news you guys have about more nodes coming online?
Yeah, so this year is going to be huge for Neo. For one thing, Neo's focus and a big focus is on adoption that can be adopted by like major corporations. People that are building business type things on blockchain. And you say, well, why is that compared to any other chain, right? And it's like finality is a major thing.
Yes.
Being able to know that your transaction is final. It's not going to get reverted.
We know all about that. We got frauded in December for a whole whack ton of computer equipment through PayPal. So we know all about the issues that are involved with finality, and we understand how those can affect businesses huge. It puts the onus and the issue on the business, right? And it removes any form of recourse after the fact. So Neo has come up with a solution for this.
Correct. Yes, and while there's been some criticisms about its decentralization, the criticisms are not going unnoticed because really the protocol itself does have voting for the Neo consensus nodes, and Neo does not hold like the majority of the coins, actually.
Yeah, we were talking about
hold
that.
Less than that. And
yeah, you said about 40% of the coins currently?
Currently, yes. And that's not always going to be that rate. It's going to go down over time. And,
of course.
And also, as you can see, while voting today, like the wallets the everyday people are not all voting today, the wallets are going to have it where it's like auto vote, and
Right, we were talking about
different
this,
wallet
yes.
providers will be able to see, okay, which consensus nodes are really confirming all the transactions, which ones are always staying online, and if they aren't, then you would vote them off. So it's not going to be like, okay, well, this isn't really decentralized. It's going to be decentralized, and just this year they're going to be bringing more consensus nodes online, probably in force. You probably will see 11 and 15.
Instead of wide distribution, I guess it's more validated distribution.
Yeah, and the interesting thing
Is that a good way to put it?
well, it's so yes, you have like less actual producers of the blocks, but you still have voters, like everybody voting. So I guess you could say like, yeah, it's validated. It's kind of similar to DPoS. Like DPoS also has multiple validators, or like lesser number of validators, right?
Right.
But the bad thing about DPoS still is it doesn't have finality, right? And so this has finality. I think it's really the right choice for consensus algorithm to solve these business case problems. And like also for state channels, even you can open the channels faster. If you don't have a channel open when you're going to the store, you'll be able to do that. And they can build on a lot of different solutions in layer 2 on it that will be able to open those channels right away. Then the other aspect that, like with Neo,
well,
is
a whole ton of updates just hit too.
Right, and I was about the updates. So like the memory pool, for example.
Right, big fix.
Yes, exactly. Like, so before the network, if it got flooded with transactions, it would kind of semi-DDoS itself. Yeah. What would happen is like it would be trying to communicate all these transactions over and over every block, and that would just lead to a lot of problems. There was priority inversion because the queue could get built up, but all that is going away. So the transactions in the pool are sorted. It picks the ones that are definitely going to make it in the next block to get confirmed. All this has already been merged. We're just waiting for that next release to hit, and once it gets deployed on mainnet, which shouldn't be too long from now, you're going to see a definite better consistent block times, even with like the big memory pool with lots of transactions that are low priority going in. And you'll also see improvements too with consensus. And those are going to be big because like there had been some issues with nodes getting stuck before, and that's going to be a thing of the past.
Yep. So now I got to ask, with the new distribution model, you're going to be bringing more nodes online. What's the process to be approved and validated for coming online with that?
Well, there's a website. If you go to neo.org, you can find from the main page, you can navigate and see how to become a consensus node. And people can apply. They'll run on testnet, show that they know how to operate a node and so forth. And then everybody can vote for them, right? And
okay, very cool.
Yeah. And they'll be adding, like I said, they'll be adding in pieces. So, but if you go and apply, as more and more apply, we can see how fast they'll be able to add them. But for sure, once these new updates come, the ability to add them and have less operational burden by the operators, that was the key. And that was some people say, well, why do they only have 7? Well, one of the reasons is you have to have both the protocol that can handle this finality, which nobody else has that yet, really working and operating properly. Having that built and having it built with the right recovery mechanisms and to be optimal, that is now right. We're right at the brink of that, and we're going to start seeing more consensus nodes, and we're going to start seeing a more decentralized network for Neo.
Okay, now I've got to ask. So a lot of projects currently are bringing over functions and software implementations from other projects. For example, I can think of Zsnark and some of the features coming over from Zencash over to Ethereum right now. Now, Spencer and I were arguing about this earlier. Is Neo a fork of Ethereum? Was it developed, or was it a separate entity entirely? Yeah,
Neo is completely developed from the ground up. Their core code is in C#, and as a Neo core developer, I'm mostly working in the libraries that are in C#. There's the Neo core library. There's the VM. The VM is its own VM. They have compilers from other languages. So right now the Python compiler works. So right now the C# compiler works. The Java compiler. I met the developer who's working on making it fully up to date, because right now it's got a couple issues. But pretty soon, the Java compiler will be there. There's other languages as well. I had heard someone say something recently like, well, if you're going to have a language, it needs to be a language that doesn't have any non-determinism. Well, really just the VM has to have non-determinism.
That's right.
The language doesn't necessarily have to. But sure, we can bring over languages that are really easy to do formal verification and compile them to Neo bytecodes too. So it's not really like something negative. It's really a positive that Neo has this VM that's deterministic, but also can support languages that people are used to.
And there's a lot of projects developing their own internal languages. One I can think of, Skycoin just put out CX. And they follow a similar model where they try to support the people who develop the project. So do you guys see a Neo language hitting the blockchain anytime soon?
Not so much a Neo language. Neo's VM itself, its bytecode is like what Neo has developed that has this value where we can bring other languages that are popular. So we don't really need to bring our own language to
because
it.
you guys have already got that migration process in place to allow everything to work together.
Right, we can bring the best languages to Neo.
Right, and that's better for the developers because they don't have to learn something brand new.
Exactly.
Yeah, this makes far more sense to me. So I like that. So then, what should we pay attention to for Neo this year? What are the big things we want to watch out for?
Yeah, so this year...
And should we be buying?
Yeah, well this year is going to be huge for Neo, I think, and a lot from the infrastructure point of view, like having something that's stable. You're going to see major projects launching on top of Neo that have been building for a while.
Even a bunch here.
Yeah,
and coming right out of beta, yeah.
I say launching, but I think one of the interesting things about Neo is that it has a lot of projects that are building on it that are real serious. Some of them already have real products in the market. They're like corporations, people that have real businesses that are saying we can trust this blockchain because the blockchain we know has finality. We know that it's using a model that is going to allow our businesses to operate and scale at the way that they're going to need to. And you'll see this year also like Neo FS coming on the scene. You're going to see some big things this year in terms of layer 2 solutions.
I was just going to say the layer 2 stuff is going to be super interesting.
Exactly, because like the only way you could have payments from everyone in the whole world using your platform is with layer 2.
Yeah, or I will disagree with this. I will counter and say blockchain 3.0 model, perhaps sharding, could accomplish this as well.
Well, and sharding though, you still have to maintain that whole chain somewhere on all these different nodes. So there's actually also sharding ideas I have for Neo as well, but it's not necessarily sharding in a sense, but more like side chains.
We're talking side chains is another interesting approach to it.
Yeah, yes. And because maybe your business wants to run its own chain, but then you want to be able to use value from the main chain. So you just swap the value, and you can lock value on the main chain, do all your business in the side chain, and then just swap it back.
The chess analogy they used for the second layer was very interesting. But I see things like the Amazon West blockchain, the Amazon East blockchain for inventory management, things of this nature. Yes, I think the side chain, I think we're likely to see a lot of side chains coming on this year.
I think it's interesting because a side chain is just as easy as like saying, start my side chain on the project, and it automatically gets secured by the main chain.
Right.
And the cool thing about that with Neo is all the side chains that we created on Neo have one block finality, because as soon as they go into the main chain, it's final.
That's
now sidechains on Neo will be a more popular thing it's my belief that it will be a more popular thing because of that finality. Yeah. Like why be on a project, why be on a chain where you're not going to have finality and you're not doing the consensus when you could be on one with finality?
We said this, why would we want a private issuer of tokens on a sidechain when we can simply just use a database for this, right? So keeping that decentralized or that consensus model is what makes the sidechain have its unique value, right?
Having it secured by another chain, right? But having it secured by a chain that's fast is even better.
Yeah, it's a fair point. But sidechains on Neo. Oh, see, now you got me thinking too. Okay, so if anybody wants to find out more about your projects or find out more about what's going on, where's the best place for us to find out about you?
Well, first they should go to Neo.org. I'm a Neo core developer. Go to GitHub, check out Neo. You're going to see my work.
And the live stream is up.
Yep. Okay.
So
cool.
definitely watch the live stream from the DevCon because there was lots of good stuff.
Yep. Yeah. And so you'll JSoulman on GitHub. You'll find me. You can see I commit a lot.
Yes, you do. Yes, you do.
And then you can also check out Aphelion.org to check out the Aphelion DEX. And then as well as that, I started a logical finality, but it's really just in the back end right now for the work that I'm doing on other projects. So.
Very cool. Well, hey, we appreciate all the work you're doing as a core developer. We appreciate you being motivated and spending time with us to share this information for the blockchain community. I think as long as we just keep developing through this bear cycle and we just keep hammering at it, I think there's a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow for all of us.
Yeah, I believe that too. I think that you'll see the projects just like the internet, right?
Yes.
You had the projects that went bust, but the ones that pushed through, they got rewarded.
That's true. And I think this is probably one of the guys to pay attention to. So if you guys definitely check out his GitHub. Do you have a Twitter or anything else they can follow?
Twitter. I think it's my alias is like Laborious1558 on Twitter.
Okay.
I'm starting to use it more. So.
Okay. Well, I think I'm going to send a whole bunch of viewers over to go hit you up with some of those macro perspectives from Neo. So be ready for it. Okay.
All right. Will do.
Well, hey, thanks for the conversation. Thanks for all the work you're doing. This is Alex at the Seattle Neo Devcon. We're not one of the big shots here. We're out of here for now, though.